welcome back to the Anachroschism. I don't know how this is going to get edited, if it's going to merge into one or not, but when we left off last time, Michelle's internet got sucked into a black hole because her laptop died. So she's back.
True.
We're back.
I'm here now.
And we're here to stay. And we pick up where Grail was basically, as soon as the other two folks that were there were leaving the area, was heading over to the two items that had been dropped on the ground to go check them out.
Yeah, I have concerns.
And Lena was over kind of keeping watch as her bow wow wolf from a distance.
Yes.
And Rollins is keeping an eye on the detainee that you happen to have. Grail, as you head over to these items that have been given, air quotes, to you, they are both bodies.
Cool.
They are both dead.
Amazing.
And they both have pretty sizable holes in them that one would think is consistent with the weapon that the gnome had on him and would certainly match the two gunshots that you heard. This is not exactly advanced CSI here. You can pretty quickly put two and two together without even really need to investigate all that well to be like, yeah, they shot the two as they were leaving and gave them to you.
I don't want it, is the thing. I don't know what they're playing at, but I don't like it. So I'm going to leave those bodies there and return to the house hesitantly. I mean, to tell my dad what's going on. Should I? Did they kept walking? Like, they're gone? They're out of eyesight? They're
just like the day before.
It should give you pause that there's no houses around here, and yet this is twice that they're just around.
Yeah. Oh, it gives me pause, all right.
Lena already has pause.
It's true. Feely is currently looking at me, so he also has pause.
Pause.
Yep. Okay, so, yeah, I'm going to just kind of, I guess, like, turn one over just to verify that it's a Blades person, like, look at their clothes. I will probably rifle through their clothes and see what they have on them.
Sure. Just pat them on the outside. It's fine.
Yeah, just give them a soft pat. A gentle caress. Anyway.
These pants are coming off.
Wow, as soon as Isaac leaves, Grail just gets crazy.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a draft of this that Michelle already made. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that on the DL, please.
A draft, you say?
Yes. Yes.
You can quickly rifle through the pockets that you can mostly get to. They're a little bit hard to get into just because there's so much rope wrapped around them, but you can get in there to a point where you can find a couple of basic daggers, 6 gold pieces.
Okay. No notes or anything to kind of identify them or give any kind of direction. Or see, I'm not just trying to steal their gold, though I will do that. I'm also looking for any kind of indication as like why they came for my family.
There are no notes or the documents on them whatsoever. In fact, their possessions are pretty light overall.
Right.
They don't have a whole lot of traveling gear. There's not a lot of money on them. And there seems to be no indication as to why they are here.
Okay. Well, I will take the gold, and I'm going to give it to my parents. And I'll take the daggers, I guess. I don't know if they have any kind of inherent value, but there's no point having them on dead bodies. So, yeah, I will return back to the house and explain what just went down to my dad and mention who's paid us another visit. He probably knows after hearing that gunshot, though.
When you get back into the house, you see Lena, who's a bow wow, and your a doggo, and your dad has now taken up a position in the rocking chair in the sitting room, and he's just kind of seemingly having gone there after you cleared out whoever was outside. He's now sitting in the rocking chair, facing the blade that you have captured, and he's just kind of slowly rocking back and forth, shotguns in his lap.
Seems fine.
I do wag my tail at Grail when she comes inside, just a little bit, just a little wag of my tail.
And I will like shoot Lena like a knowing look, and also I'll like kind of mouth a thank you as well, just because like she definitely helped there and made me feel a lot more comfortable than just me just running out by myself. So yeah, it's good.
Make a wag check.
You know I would if I could. I will, and then kind of like position myself so I can still keep an eye outside as well.
Okay.
One of the things just sit in the door.
One of the things you're noticing, Lena,
Mm-hmm.
and Grail, you can kind of pick up on this as you're coming in as well, is that the captive's eyes are basically darting back and forth between Paul with shotgun and wolf in doorway.
Yeah.
Good.
It's not entirely clear which of the two he's more put off by, but he doesn't seem to really like either.
Sure.
As you come in and give the report, Rollins, who's still just kind of doesn't seem all that perturbed, all things considered. Maybe he's just keeping his cool. You're not entirely sure, but he says, well, I reckon I don't like this one bit.
That makes two of us. And then I'm gonna, so I explain, obviously, like, who was outside dead, and explain that there's a third one out there that I took care of.
Your mother also comes back in the room at this point, and she says, well, what do you think we should do now?
And I kind of, like, nod, like, I kind of, like, lift my chin over to the captive we have, and then I kind of just say, I think he might have some answers for us.
Your mom kind of gives you this knowing look to the point where you see that she's pretty quickly picked up on the fact that this may not be your first time in this situation.
Yeah.
Because mothers always know. They have the intuition. She had an intuition check. And so she just kind of nods and she says, well, let's hope he's got some good information for us. I hate to think he doesn't have anything to tell us at all. And she's kind of shooting him a knowing look at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He looks over at her, back at the gun, back at the wolf.
When he looks at me, I growl at him.
He kind of like recoils a little bit.
Good.
Does not seem super thrilled.
That's a shame. So I kind of like approach. Oh, there goes my phone on the floor.
You punch him in the face.
So I kind of like crouch down. Oh, is he in a chair or is he on the floor?
He's in a chair.
Okay, then I don't crouch down because I would be
he's
very small.
got your original bindings on him, and your dad also bound into the chair in addition to that.
Yeah. So I kind of like lean over so that we're like face to face, and I just say, listen, your comrades didn't get so lucky. I will let you go if you tell us what we need to know.
This is your first chance to really get a close look at him. I mean, you sort of did in the fray, but you weren't really focused on him specifically. This is not much more than a boy. Maybe 16, 17 years of age. Honestly, it's not all that dissimilar from when Holden first started with the Blades. It's just somebody who probably got caught up in a situation he didn't fully understand, and now you can see as you look at him, just very young features, just the scraggliest of facial hair, sort of kind of piercing through his chin, his cheeks and his chin. To call him a man would be a gross overestimation, if anything. And as you're looking at him now, as you get up close to him, he is definitely already kind of freaking out.
Good.
Just the up close, like you could tell from his eyes darting around the room, but now especially you can see he's shaking a bit. His eyes are pretty wide. He just doesn't look like somebody who is going to put up a lot of resistance here.
Yeah. And seeing this, like, it does kind of snap me out of like this, I'm here for answers, like, where's Rachel? Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not like I kind of like soften, and honestly, it kind of gets me shaken up a little bit too, because I do immediately have that connection to this is kind of what Holden was probably going through. No, well, not this, but like when he joined, like he was the same age, et cetera, et cetera. So like that's kind of sitting with me in a really strange way, but at the same time, I need to know like what's going on. So I kind of like stare at him, like kind of stare him down and just say like very quietly, who sent you?
It also should be noted, by the way, just to step back for a half second, that the male and female body that were outside the house were also relatively young, not this young,
Yeah.
but also humans and probably 20s somewhere in there. Not especially old, not this guy's age, but still.
What about the person that I killed?
I mean, you didn't give him a great once-over.
No.
I guess you might have gotten a brief look at him as he slumped over before he went face down on the ground dead. But also relatively young, late 20s maybe.
Okay.
So there's not anybody who's seasoned or a veteran in this group. It's all relative youngsters, especially the one in front of you,
Yeah.
who in response to your tone, at least softening a little bit, he's speaking pretty quietly as he responds. And he says, "Listen, miss, I don't want a lot of trouble. I don't know. It was an order from somebody else in the Blades. I don't know where it came from. We just got told to come to the ranch and maybe, scare the sheep a little bit or knock over a couple things. It wasn't supposed to be like this."
And I kind of like straighten at this because it's kind of confusing because Holden, from what I understand, is in a fairly high position with the Blade. So why would they be doing this? And I don't say any of this to my family, who's standing right there, but I kind of say, I turn around, look at my parents, and I'm not really saying anything. And I look back at him, and I say, "Well, who gave you the orders?"
And you get this like slight moment of hesitation, akin to the idea that he doesn't really want to give this up.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I don't know if I should say." And he's now looking back at Gunn and
then
Wolf.
I say, I think you should say, honey.
I don't think you understand. It's just as bad or me or worse if I do say.
And at this, I shake my head and I say, maybe we can help. I know it sounds weird coming from me, but if you tell us, we might be able to do something about this long term. It seems like you're in a bit of trouble. And I would say, and I kind of look and I nod to my dad with the gun. I say, it does look like you're in a bit of trouble, but other than this, what's going on? I think you should spill the beans.
Well, you know how it goes. Someone says you can make a quick coin doing something and don't have a lot of money to your name, and what's the harm in it, right? What, knock over a couple sheep and mess with somebody's house. I'm not going to pretend like I don't know it wasn't a bad thing we were doing, but I didn't have any idea what all happened like this.
This kid is like the poster child of why Isaac doesn't want us to kill people, and he's not even there.
I didn't kill him.
No, well, clearly.
Yeah.
Everybody's just whispering, "Yet, kill him,
I
kill
know.
him."
And I kind of just, I shake my head and I say, you trespassed on someone's property on a ranch of all places. We're prepared to protect what's ours. You can't imagine just coming up here roughing up our land is going to be treated too kindly.
He says, "No."
What were you thinking?
He says, "Well, they didn't say anything about a trained wolf or another person. They said it was just two relatively harmless folks who lived here. We didn't know it was going to be anything like this."
Well, they were mistaken. And who was they? I feel like you're hiding quite a bit from me, and you don't have no leverage for this, honey.
For the first time, you can kind of see him a little bit more scared. And he's like, all I have is a name of somebody with the blades who told us. I don't have anything more, and I don't want to give that up and have you do something to me then, because I mean it when I say I have nothing else to offer you. If I tell you that, I'm at your mercy.
You're at my mercy no matter what. But what I'm saying right now is I also have history with the blades, and you'd be doing me a huge favor and yourself a mighty big favor if you told me this name.
He gives one last sweep across the room at each of the relevant threatening things, yourself included. And even as he pauses, you can see this moment where the resolve kind of cracks. And he says, Gindin Fallenhorn.
Okay, and that name is not familiar to me at all, right?
No.
Which is so funny.
Wait, what? Why?
Tell me who it is, and he tells you your name. It's like, I have never heard that name, but
Wait, so what was it? Is it Indin?
Gindin.
Gindin.
Gindon. Gindin Fallenhorn.
Fallenhorn.
It says he's a dwarf with the blades who sometimes gives assignments in this region. I haven't been with him all that long, but he seems to be somebody who calls the shots.
You say you haven't been with him very long. How long have you been in with the blades?
A couple months, maybe.
And then I say, kind of more personally, where are you from? Where's your family from?
And he says, I scrolled away from my notes.
Sorry.
That's fine. There it is. It says, I have family who lives in Veramist. I kind of got thrown out of the house, but it's where I used to live back in the day. That's a weird thing for a 16-year-old to say. It's fine, it happened. Run with it.
That's fine.
Their sense of time isn't the same.
I lived in Veramist when I was a youth. You are a youth.
I just say, is there any way you can put this blades business behind you, head home? They mean you nothing good. They offer coin, they offer some protection, but they very well will just cut you down if you don't do exactly as they ask. And as I can tell, you're afraid of right now.
He seems to consider for a second. Eventually he says, I don't think I could risk going home, but I could at least try to get away. I don't think they know where I'm from. I never talked to them about it, but if they came looking for me and I was there, I don't want to do any more to my family than I already have. But if you set me free, I could go anywhere else. I don't know where, but somewhere away from here.
And I think about this, I consider it, and I can see like the real fear in his eyes, and I do believe him. I like, there's no reason for me really not to. He's just like, I'm gonna go back to the blades. Like, he seems impressionable, but and kind of dumb, but well-meaning, it seems like. So I kind of like jostle the gold coins that I put in my pocket, and I take them out, and I can hand it to him, and because he has his hands tied. But I hold them out to him, and I say, if I give these to you, will you promise to leave the blades and find some honest work?
He seems almost incredulous at the offer. Like this is a much better deal than he expected to get out of the situation.
Because it is?
Probably. But he nods, maybe a little bit too enthusiastically.
And I kind of turn and look at my dad and just kind of see like how he's gauging the situation. And I kind of take a step back and see if he has anything that he wants to ask the boy. I'm contemplating asking about Holden, but I don't think this guy knows anything. I don't know bringing him up is going to do any good. But I am going to see if my dad is going to ask him. Yeah.
He and it's just continuing to rock and just watching this all unfold. Hasn't really chimed in at this point. But as you look over at him, he says, well, now, before you go giving him a ticket out of here, I have a question. You know anything about that taller woman and her short companion?
Good question. I forgot to ask about that.
That's right.
And I think I probably say that out loud, like, oh, kind of like I was on such a mission that I forgot to ask kind of an obvious one, but yeah.
It's all right. The DM has your back.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And he looks confused by the question, maybe because it's not specific enough. But in either case, he says, that doesn't sound like anybody I know. No.
Well, considering that they cut down 2 of your friends, perhaps it's true you don't know who these people are. I don't have any idea myself.
So you say none of them made it? They're all dead?
And I kind of like,
He was asleep. He doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. And I think he saw like his buddy go down, but not that he had died. And I say, oh God. I say, you're the only one who made it out.
The very mild, almost imperceptible shaking that he was doing just when he was kind of overwhelmed by the situation ramps up significantly. He seems genuinely spooked by the phone that vibrates alongside him, and he matches the frequency of it. He seems genuinely surprised by the idea that it wasn't like they were also captured or chased off, that they were all killed. Seems to be a bit of a shock to him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Right. And I will just say, I kind of shrug, not dismissively, but I will say, you have to understand, you were trespassing on our land and gave us a real spook. We didn't know what to expect. And for what it's worth, the other 2, they were not killed by us. They ran. We let them leave.
He's quiet for a moment. After the silence lingers for a second, he kind of chimes in and he says, it was just supposed to be the 4 of us. I don't know anything about any other ones.
And I nod and I look at my dad kind of for a confirmation, and I'm kind of I believe him. I truly do.
And he gives you a nod in response and doesn't seem to have any other follow-up questions.
Okay. At this point, I am going to start to untie him, unless anyone has any objections that they start doing this. But I want him out. I also want to make sure that he's, okay enough to leave. But I don't want him in our house any longer, if that makes any sense. Just kind of doesn't feel right. So, I'm going to start untying him.
Okay.
I'm gonna go outside, so I'm not blocking the door, but I am gonna be sniffing.
Okay. You don't notice anything matching that trail that you got earlier. If anything, it's weaker than it was before, so it's not like you're not picking up anything of that scent coming closer, essentially.
Okay, but I can still smell I could theoretically follow the scent if I wanted to.
In theory, the longer you wait, the harder it's gonna get.
I'm gonna start sniffing around, trying to maybe latch onto a stronger, stronger scent, and then maybe even start kind of making my way out there, because I don't think I want to let these people go.
The strongest scent that you pick up on is the 2 dead bodies that have been unceremoniously dropped maybe 150 feet from the house.
Okay.
As they have now been dead for a little bit of time. They are not especially good smelling.
Wasn't there perfume that I picked up on earlier?
There was, and you can still get a faint trace of that to the north.
Okay.
That was, I'm guessing, from the woman.
You don't
with
know
the
that.
Dwarf.
Did you just assume his perfume?
Yeah, I did. I totally did.
It was her.
But yeah, I figured as much.
I want to come across an orc in the next town that's just perfumed
He's just
out,
fabulous.
and it's just
I know,
a dude.
that would be pretty cool. No, well then you also said alcohol too, and so it was either either from one person or one sold of alcohol, one sold of perfume.
I'm trying to see if maybe I can get like a different scent that isn't like corpse, and then like follow it or something.
That faint trail does lead to the north.
I'm gonna start slowly heading out there. I don't want to like leave the ranch yet, but I am gonna. I don't want to like completely lose it yet, so I'm gonna be kind of edging out there.
Okay, make a perception check with advantage. Inside the house, as you finish untying the boy, for lack of better words, he's kind of holding he's kind of like standing and holding his arm a little above the elbow where he got bit before he went to sleep. But he seems to be okay otherwise. He's a bit shaky. He kind of stands unsteadily when he first has the chance to get up out of the chair, whether it was because of the bindings or the shock or both. He's kind of, but he makes it to his feet. He seems fine.
Okay. I am going to, again, hand him the 6 gold, which is a little bit of a hard pill to swallow because I was just going to give it to my parents, but also it's money that I didn't earn, and I don't really feel comfortable giving that to them, really. So I'm going to put it like in the palm of his hand, and then like close his hand like over that and just be like, and just say, I want you to get out of here, but if you can't go the same path that woman and that dwarf went, because I have a feeling they'll kill you like they did your friends. And I don't actually know. So is there only the one path leading out of there?
Primarily, yes. There's a couple others in a couple other directions, but that's the main, like, in and out point. It's facing that way because that faces Timberbrook, and that's the main city in the area.
Yeah. I mean, if he goes that route, there's a chance that he might get killed. So I don't know. I could just tell him to go in the other direction and maybe like circle back or something. But there is that warning that there are 2 people out there, and they didn't hesitate to kill his friends.
And he mentions that if you tell him they went to the north, that's sort of the direction where his hometown is as well. So he would want to head somewhere else. He doesn't seem entirely sure where, but he'll go east or something.
Okay. And so like after I kind of give him the money, I kind of like put my hand like on his shoulder, and I'm just like, please just promise me you'll never look back from the blades and just keep moving forward. There are better opportunities out there. You can't get tangled up in this. I have someone very close to me who currently is, and he's in a very bad way. This is nothing but bad.
He doesn't even make eye contact with you at this point. Seems ashamed. Maybe still a bit spooked. And he says, I'll have to. I'll turn my back on them. It's they're up to no good, obviously, and if this is what can happen, I think I got in over my head. He also looks over at your folks, and he says, and he actually looks up at them, and he says, I am sorry for any trouble that I caused. I didn't mean to go down that way.
And I nod at him as like kind of like a thank you, but I don't say that. And then I say, what's your name? I'm Grail.
You see him sort of, just for that brief second, he kind of looks up at you because he's seen you, but he's kind of taking you in, and then his eyes kind of quickly dart back down. He says, Razar, it's nice to meet you, Grail. I really do appreciate you letting me go, especially after what happened to the rest of them.
Well, all I have to say, as I said before, is I know someone who joined the Blades around the same age as you, just a kid, and I can't help but see him in your eyes, and there's a lot of fear there, and I understand, and I know there's desperation there. But I'm telling you, and I think you'll agree in time, that leaving will be the best thing you'll ever do for yourself, and I hope you stick with that. It strangely is a pleasure to meet you, Razar, and I hope to hear your name in the future doing good things.
He almost like, it's like a sad chuckle, kind of like a, yeah.
Yeah.
But he kind of folds the gold into his hand, slides it into his pocket, and kind of sloughs out the door if you'll let him.
Yep. Yeah, and I will just step aside and watch him go.
He does so, again, sort of sheepishly, but he's also like kind of keeping an eye on you just because it's not like distrust. It's just he's almost hard pressed to believe that you're just going to let him go like this.
Mm-hmm.
But he heads out the door and then rounds the corner to the east side of the ranch and seems to be heading in that direction.
Okay. Yeah. He's just a kid. I can't. That'd suck to have that on me. So
he looks back and he's like, man, that girl was amazing.
Isaac's going to have a high ground field day with this when he gets back. Just you wait.
No.
He's got all of his
high
hands
horse.
and all of his feet. I'm
We
so
might-
disappointed.
Soapbox.
I might lie. I might change the story. Be like, 3 of them ran, and
It's going to be hard for you to maintain that smirk when the wagon runs over the 2 dead bodies on the way home.
yeah, I'm just gonna roll that 3rd one over.
Oh,
yeah,
how
and-
weird, because we came across a guy named Rosar on the way in, and
Yeah.
you told me everything.
Yeah.
we killed him. He's
We
dead
killed him.
now.
Yeah. We couldn't trust him. He was a Blades member. We had to shoot him.
I'm gonna roll the 3rd dead body over to the other one, and like Isaac's gonna be like, "Why does one have 2 of them have gunshot wounds, and one has a weird repeat? It looks just like."
His wounds are monogrammed. It says there's a G.
Yeah, I did a Zorro thing.
Yeah.
His body.
That's peculiar.
Yeah, that's gonna be a less exciting conversation to have with Isaac, but I think he'll be pleased with me that I didn't kill a child.
Your dad, as Razar is leaving, your dad rises from the rocking chair, kind of goes over through the kitchen to watch him as he walks around the far side of the house, and just kind of keeps an eye on him, shotgun in hand, but not at the ready as he walks off. Now that it's pretty much dark, the vision of him doesn't last for super long, but he keeps an eye on him until he can no longer see him, and then Millicent kind of sits down in a chair at the kitchen table, seemingly tired, even though she didn't really do a lot, just kind of like, glad to be over with it. Your dad looks at the 2 of you, Grail and Lena, and he says, "That was fine work you did. I'm proud of you. Would have been a lot easier for that to have gone a lot worse than it did, but I admire your resolve."
I kind of sigh. At this point, like, I let out a breath that I didn't even realize that I had stored up in me because of all the adrenaline. And I just say, I do feel bad for cutting down the one, but it seems like it wouldn't have mattered at this point. And I just say, I will do anything to protect you and Ma. You know that, and I'm just glad I was here to make sure that didn't happen.
Your mom's at the table, sitting there, kind of like, head in, cradled in her hand, just kind of weary looking. She says, "Well, we appreciate it. We love you. I don't know, Rollins, you dealt with them more than I did, but I don't like it. And what do we do with the bodies?"
Yeah. I do think we should bury him. We do have small plot out back where we could put them.
She says, I'm not necessarily so sure that's the best idea, but I don't know what is. Part of me wonders, I'm not much of a schemer, but I wonder if that might come back to bite us if somebody came snooping around looking for him later.
I'm going to turn back into my human form so I can speak again. Hey, I can talk.
What's up?
And I'm going to agree with Millicent and say I do think this whole situation is extremely suspicious. It it almost seems like you're being set up potentially. If they find bodies on your property, I don't think that's going to be well for you. Hold on, let me check my spells before I say this. I think I have something where I can.
I have a 3rd level spell, Dispose of Body.
Set a fire. I think I can set fires. Hold on, I'm checking.
What?
Isaac's not here.
Well,
No
what else
evidence.
do you want us to do?
What's that burning smell?
Listen, they're dead, okay?
Well, we can't have bodies on the property. That could just be bad for them.
Hey, Isaac, we have breakfast ready.
I know.
Just bury them out in like I don't know. You guys got like crops or something anywhere? You got a garden?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
plants need to eat,
The
right?
corn just like grows out of it and it's just like
Satanic.
yeah.
Okay,
The
so
like the kernels say 666 on them.
I can set I can light a small campfire. So I'm just gonna.
A small cremation station.
Burn marshmallows over their corpses.
When we have a time skip and you find out your family is cursed, you're gonna know why.
What?
We'll look back
is
on
the
this moment.
problem?
What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, like what if they? Anyways, so I'll just say something along the lines of I can dispose of the. What? Oh my God! I hate you right now. I'm just trying to help. God. I say something along the lines of that I can dispose of the body, so there isn't any evidence if anyone comes poking around later to protect you guys. That's all. God.
Millicent seems just a little bit taken aback by this. But Rollins kind of nods. He says, I think that's the best course. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it, but it's better that than having anybody come around here. I don't know. I mean, and he's kind of looking at you, Grail. He says, I've never been the brightest, but to me it seems like no matter what outcome happened, they stood to benefit somehow. If they came and messed with us, maybe they think we could spook back into protection. And if something went south, then they could pin that on us too. You can see him getting a little bit upset in a way that's uncommon for him, and you really haven't seen in your time here in the three and a half days you've been back.
Yeah.